To me, definitely, art is something which is very important. It's been a part of my life for years. When it comes to drawing and painting, since primary school, I've always had an interest in making pictures. Even when I was younger, I had an interest in, I suppose, scary things, and I tried to make sort of, I guess, maybe scary pictures. But that interest in scary stuff sort of continues today, where I do a lot of drawings of horror-related things. But generally, I like to make pictures of some of my favourite movie characters or TV show characters. But as well as drawing and painting, music is a very big part of my life. Since the age of 8, I have been practicing the piano. I've been going to grades, kind of sometimes in and out, sometimes not enjoying the grades and then coming back. But the thing I enjoy most in playing the piano is being able to really just do my own thing, try and work out a song that I like to listen to and try to make a cover of that, maybe an instrumental version or with singing as well. I do find with music that although sometimes people ask me how long have I been practicing the piano, and I'd say since the age of 8, and people think that's impressive, down the amount of years I might be practicing, but really it can take me a very long time to learn a piece of music, to get it to sound really good by the end. And I think generally with art, whether it be with music or making a picture, the process of making that art can be very hard. But in the end, when you make that end result, the finished product, it is very satisfying because everything just works in the end. And that definitely extends to my favourite art form, which is filmmaking. Filmmaking is something which, I suppose when I was younger, I kind of made some films here and there, nothing too serious, but I suppose it was by the age of 13 though that I decided it's what I would want to do as a career. In some aspect of filmmaking, whether it be directing or editing. But even in filmmaking, there are times when things cannot go right. I find maybe there are times that I don't really know what I'm doing. The same with making a picture or playing the piano. There can be always times when I do not know what the hell I am doing. But it is very satisfying when it just works and you have something in the end which you can show to people, or you can perform to someone, and it can evoke an emotion in someone. I think generally that's the thing with art. You make something to make people feel a certain way. And to be able to do that, I think is a very brilliant thing. And I suppose the purpose of this documentary really is just to be able to see, I suppose, just other artists out there. How do they feel about this? How did they start out in this art life? And what motivates them to continue? And generally, what does this art form, whether it be making pictures, being a musician or a filmmaker, what does it mean to them?
We grew up in a place where there was a beach and not an awful lot of anything else to do. And so we built sandcastles, but we also got pencils and I drew. My sister wrote and I drew. I think I just got interested in making lines and making them cross over and things like that. I did go to art college for a while, but I didn't stay. And I think I was both shy and wayward and unsure of myself. And I tried then, I worked in a newspaper in the Art Press when it was going, and I illustrated articles and things like that. And so that's a great sense of being affirmed in your path, which I was quite, it does definitely help your confidence. But I think at the back of it all, I think it took me ages to actually get up my courage and actually say I'm an artist. I tried not to be for years. I just thought I'd never be good enough, so why do it? Which is a terribly cowardly thing to do. And in the end it kind of broke out, you know, it kind of announced itself, and I couldn't stop myself drawing. We moved to a place where I was a bit isolated, and I think I got a bit depressed. The doctor suggested that I would go on antidepressants, but she said try and do something else first before you take the antidepressants. And so I started going to Jan Goulet in Bray to learn to draw. I started doing it then.
I was a very sensitive boy, and sound used to affect me a lot as a kid. My parents didn't know anything about music really. They had a few albums from the 60s and 70s, mostly my brother and sister, who were hardcore music listeners and had very different tastes.
Yeah.
So I was able to kind of try to mediate their styles and their influences into kind of my own understanding.
Yeah.
And then I guess when I was a teenager, or not preteen maybe, I started writing songs and I learned the guitar. And then I guess, maybe 13 I started writing songs, and then I guess I started to filter music through that experience in music, which is much more kind of personal narrative kind of lens, and I guess that's when I started really thinking about the possibility of being a musician.
As a teenager, was very interested in speech and drama and acting and writing, and I did a lot of work in different drama groups. As most angsty teenagers, I did lots of writing and poetry and trying to sort of figure out what the world meant. And I wrote a play, and one of the drama teachers I had took that play and sent it off to, unbeknownst to me, sent it off to London, to a theatre called the Royal Court Theatre. And they, for whatever crazy reason, they had decided to produce that. So that sort of got me into the arts and into writing and into producing things. I did a lot of writing then, both in Ireland and I did a little bit more in England. I did lots of bits and pieces, and then on my travels I met lots of people and would, tentatively started to write film scripts, having no knowledge of even how they were formatted. So just kind of trying to teach myself as I went along, fumbling in the dark. And in parallel with that, I had a huge kind of technical sort of curiosity. My dad was an electrician. He used to break things and give them to me and say, go fix that. Radios and all sorts of things, which I used to love doing. And so that sort of technical curiosity married with sort of I like to tell stories, kind of got me into kind of the technical side of film. So I would write a script and say, let's make this film, and meet a director or meet a producer, and they'd say, cool, but we don't know anyone who will edit that film. And I go, well, I can do that. I have a computer that I've stuck together with chewing gum, and so I sort of fell into things that way.
I just can't resist drawing. I just love it, and I just find that if I'm not drawing much, I'm not so happy, and if I am drawing a lot, it's like as if it's an anti-boredom device, a huge anti-boredom device. I very often do it when I'm watching TV or listening to the radio, or I do it very often without a pen and paper. I very often sit there and actually draw what's in front of me, and it's like as if that's a little practice for improving what I'm supposed to, what I like doing. And so I actually think about how your hair is falling, or how your mouth looks, or how your hands are, and things like that. But I don't know what it is. It's I just love doing it, and it's drawing particularly rather than painting or making. I really love it.
see it happen, or hear it, you know. The idea of layering, the idea of creating new sounds. I guess the marriage of word and sound is a big impetus for my creativity as well. And the way the play between lyric or literary connotation and sonic kind of abstract sound, the way that the marriage can be fraught, and it can be very exciting, and it can be that kind of if you think of, it can be a three-dimensional relationship, can bring to bear realities or truths about the other that didn't exist in another way, you know. So word can define a sound in a way that the sound can't express, and sound can define a word in a way that language can't express. So it's like adding another layer of meaning to these kind of forms of expression. And hearing things that you wrote is a very wonderful thing too. Definitely. Yeah. You know, hearing somebody play something back to you, or interpret something is a really wonderful thing too.
When I was younger, a lot of my motivation was success. I wanted to be successful and famous, but also sort of a huge tinge of sort of narcissism of like I wanted people to think I was great. And then you can only sustain that for so long. Well, I mean, some people can sustain that their whole lives, but I could only sustain that for so long. You know, so as life changes, sort of your motivation changes. So I think at the moment, one of the main reasons I enjoy making art is for the people I meet who have also had really weird journeys into their art. So that they're not arriving as I left school, I did a degree in fine art. I did my master's degree in fine art, and now I'm an artist. I've never met anyone who's done that. All of the artists I meet have been, they were a coal miner, or they worked on an oil rig and lost a leg, and now they paint legs, or like they all have weird journeys to being an artist. I do enjoy the notion of communicating, but inherent again in kind of communication is a sort of a vague sort of narcissism of I have a story that I want to tell, and my story is important, that the whole world wants to hear my story. So there's sort of there's an interesting kind of underlying narrative in all art that what I have to say is important enough to warrant the rest of the world to look at it.
I think drawing is something that is a part of us. Small children do it without any effort and really shouldn't be instructed or guided, I don't think. I think instead of saying if you put a square there you can make it into a house, I think you should just allow this process to occur. But at some stage we develop this looking at ourselves, this otherness which says to us, you're not quite as good at drawing. If other people see that drawing, they won't admire it. Whereas if you learn to write, and we're very encouraged to write and add and read and do all those things. And I think drawing is so much part of us. It's such a pity to lose it. And most people actually choose to lose it. It's almost like society. Irish society, I don't know enough about other societies, but in Irish society it's not as valued, and it's a wonderful skill. And also in the 60s, drawings and art and all those things were hugely part of the social change, and fashion magazines have these beautiful drawings in them. And I think it's terribly sad that drawing has disappeared and has been overtaken by photography to a huge extent. As
an artist, right, we always feel kind of deficient as artists. I think we tend to, because we tend to see ourselves as kind of an appendage to culture, to society, and in some way not as fundamentally kind of important as other more functional roles in society. You're bringing things out into the light that people maybe innately understand but aren't able to express. You're an explorer of the interior. The way sometimes the surreal or the dream can, on an emotional level, be more real than the way we manage ourselves in public or in public forums. So the level of emotion can bring a sense of reality that's much deeper and more meaningful than that kind of surface understanding or experience we have of reality. Bringing these aspects of human experience into the lives of people, and their realities are richer because of it.
Wow. Yeah. So, good fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's.
So we are important after all.
Yeah.
We do have a function, and you should support the arts because it's important work that we're doing.
It means lots of different things. It's a way of capturing a moment. This is what I think right now. It's in this piece of art. It's a way of communicating, obviously. It's an excuse to collaborate, I suppose, yeah. So it means lots of different things, and that meaning changes then over time as you reflect on it. Sometimes, like I said, in an embarrassing way, but most of the time like I said, it makes you think about time. It makes you think about how if you meet somebody who has a completely diametrically opposed opinion to you, and you think how awful, and you go, well, maybe I thought that way 10 years ago, and it kind of makes you appreciate that things that seem locked aren't so locked. That time changes everything, and experience changes everything.
I suppose that's
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. That was easy peasy.
So it's just those 3 questions?
that's all. Let's say.
Yeah. Okay. All right.